Here we've got Matt, who started off as a 3 minute per 100 swimmer, who said he's now down to 2 minutes per 100, and he wants to know what he can do to get under that 2 minute mark and get faster and be more efficient with the stroke. As I've looked through these videos, he's doing quite a bit well in the stroke, like making some good shapes and positions for the catch and the pull. But the thing that stands out to me here is that it's not connected with the body much at all. So if he's able to connect up the catch and the pull with the right timing and the right rotation, then he's going to be so much better off. Because if we look here, you can see like his head position seems pretty good. Here, he's looking in the right spot, looking slightly forwards, keeping the neck long. Overall, the body position here is quite good. When he breathes, it does drop a little bit, but it's still quite good. So the main thing here is that things just aren't quite timed or connected that well. So what I mean by that is, if we have a look at when one hand enters, you'll see on this left hand side he's entered there at that point. This right arm is almost back towards his belly button at that point, which is too far back at that point. Most swimmers that I work with should be swimming front quadrant freestyle, meaning that there should always be something in front of the head. So if we're looking from above, we'd always want to have something in front of the head at all times throughout the stroke. Because if it's not, the timing is a little bit out, and it usually means that the arm in front here, so this arm here, has pulled through too soon if there's nothing in front. So normally we see with good timing is when one hand enters the water, and the other arm can be anywhere from about the end of the catch here to about here where the shoulder is. That's where we find most good swimmers tend to be in terms of their timing if we're looking from under the water. And you'll see he's just a little bit further back than that. And I think let's go to the other side here as well. You'll see that the right hand is entered now, back of frame. But again, this arm's just too far underneath. So that means the arm in front is beginning the catch too soon. Now, does that mean that he should enter and just reach forwards and glide and just leave it out there and let the other arm catch up? Obviously not. You don't want to stop the hand in front, because that's going to cause you to slow down and decelerate. So you always want to keep the hand in motion out in front of you, but we just don't want it to rush downwards. The thing that's causing the arm to drop too quickly or start the catch too soon is the rotation of the shoulders. He's rolling his shoulders a long way on the side each stroke. So if we have a look at the breathing stroke, for example, you'll notice that he's going to about 70 degrees rotation through the shoulders, which is far too much. And then on the other side here, at that furthest point, it's a similar thing. Probably 70 degrees if I was measuring that directly front on. So right now, the shoulders, I'd say they're rolling side to side rather than rocking side to side. So get to 30 to 40 degrees to each side. And a way you can picture that, and the way one of the cues that I use here, and it's in our cues library inside of our Effortless Swimming membership, is you want to rotate forwards. As in, if you're thinking of when you're on your side here, don't think about rotating down onto your side, because then you're probably going to lean into it too much and lose your balance at that point. Instead, if you think of rotating forwards, so when you're in this position here, don't try and get the shoulder down, the hip down. Just think about reaching forwards with your hip, your shoulder, and your arm going in that direction in front of you. So you're rotating forwards. You're naturally going to get some rotation happening anyway, but it's unlikely that you'll lean into it and go too far. So I like the thought of rotate forwards, because you usually get the right amount, which is 30 to 40 degrees rotation. That'd be the first thing that he's going to have to adjust to be able to get that timing and be in the front quadrant a little bit more. Because then when he does that, the biggest change that's going to then happen is as he goes through his catch and pull, he's going to be in such a stronger position and much better timed. So you'll notice, right, as he goes through the catch here, right, then he gets into what we call the power diamond. So when the hand is underneath the shoulders, this is what we call the power diamond, because a good catch will normally have this nice half diamond shape through here. So if both arms are there, it would look like a diamond. This is where you can be very strong very powerful through there. But in his power diamond, which is there, his shoulders are still a long way on the side. They should be almost back to flat at that point, but because he was rotating so far, his rotation hasn't kind of caught up with his arms. So if he didn't rotate quite so far, he'd basically be in a stronger position to apply power here, but he's still on the side, which means that if you have a look at this arm, through the catch, through that first movement, it's not really connecting up with his rotation. So you notice that this doesn't really move much at all. It's just going independently, and then, all right, he's starting to rotate now, but it's just a little bit too late. And especially on this arm, have a look at this. The arm is going down. It's going through the catch, but he's still rotating on his side at that point. Now it starts to come back, but he's nearly all the way back at his hip. The shoulders and the hip should start to come back really as you've sort of just finished the catch. So more at like this point here, about there, is where we want to start to see the shoulders and the hips just coming back around, because you've got to work those things together. You've got to coordinate those things together, or the arm's just moving all the way on its own without really much connection to the rest of the body. And that's when swimming can feel very difficult, because you've got your arms doing one thing, you've got your rotation, your body, and your legs doing another. But if we can coordinate all those movements together, then swimming becomes so much easier. So that's why often we've got to start with one of the things is the right amount of rotation. And too often I see people over rotating because they're told you should roll to your side, you're more streamlined on your side, but it causes them to go too far. So there is a sweet spot, and we want to make sure we get that right first. Now, in terms of, say, drills for this, I really like the 6-1-6 drill, where you do 6 kicks on the side, then you take a stroke and you swap. But the key to doing that drill well and making sure that actually changes something in his stroke would be, don't let the arm in front move until the other arm gets to just in front of your head. Think of like that point there, that's your switch point. That's when you can swap sides and switch. That's going to help teach him that timing that we want to get in the stroke. And it's often, when I'm running clinics with people here in Australia, that's one of the things that we often have to get right, or just adjust in that drill so that they have that front quadrant timing when they're swimming. Because once that's in place, once they're timing things better, then they're like, oh man, this is so much easier. This all makes sense. This feels like I'm not having to work as hard. Because if the timing's off, yeah, things get awkward. Things are a lot harder. So that's why even just getting good fundamentals in your stroke can make a huge difference. So maybe if you've been focusing on your catch, you might need to just step it back a bit, get some of these fundamentals right first, then you'll be in a position to be able to have a good catch, have a good pull. So work through those 5 core principles, which I'll put a link to below, that we consider to be the 5 core principles of fast freestyle. If you go through those in that order, then you're in a position to be able to improve your times. But don't try and skip ahead if you haven't got these other things in place. If you've got the ability to record yourself when you swim, then you might consider working with me in the stroke analysis coaching, where people send me videos on a regular basis. I give them feedback, break down their stroke and say, I want you to do this drill and this drill with these focus points. And then next week, send me a video and we'll go from there. And we've had so many people, which we've featured on the podcast, who have gone through that coaching and have been able to improve their times by 5, 10, 20, sometimes 30 seconds per 100 over the course of several months and sometimes years. And that is a really good way to get some specific help with your swimming if you're looking for that level of coaching. So I'll put the link below to our stroke analysis coaching. I've only got a small number of people that I work with, so there's not an unlimited amount because I've only got so much time, but I'll put that link below for those of you that would like to work a little bit closer with me on your technique.